Double After Hours podcast. Take one.
Well, welcome back, losers.
Hey.
So I know you're wondering, where's Aaron? Guys,
He died. That's what happened.
He died off screen. He died of ligma, whatever.
He died to my hands. No, I'm kidding. I wouldn't kill Aaron.
He didn't die to your baby hands. I don't want to hear any of this.
These are not baby hands.
No one could see him. But anyway, guys, first of all, welcome to the Double After Hours podcast. My name is Charlie Robison. I'm the social media manager and the resident fricktard. I'm joined by...
Hi, I'm Shane Sygiel. I'm the resident yapper. I work with cameras, and I'm here.
We don't have.
Yeah, which I can help out in the future if we get cameras or we decide to get cameras. I know. I
can't cock tease the audience like that. Like, what are you gonna do? It's like
I'll put them all in the chair. I'll put them in the Jerry Seinfeld.
Every single guy.
Yeah, every single guy will be in the Jerry Seinfeld cuck chair.
Well, that's what I feel like when we watch this movie, because guys, we're watching something
Captain
pretty
America 4.
Yep, we watched Captain America: Brave New World. It came out recently, and you know what? Due to scheduling conflicts, the only people who could see it and record on time was me and Shane. So that's why you're getting a rare Aaron-less special today. And Brice is not here because what are you gonna do?
Another schedule conflict.
Right, but Captain America: Brave New World, it happened. So
no, that's a good way of saying it.
Listen, I think it's safe to say that Marvel did not expect the critical reception this one was going to get hit with, because this is, I think, in the bottom 3 worst reviewed Marvel movies of all time. I
did see that. And Penguin Zero, or Moist Critical, he did a live stream where he was talking about his experience with Captain America 4, and he was mentioning how in his eyes it's not like one of the worst. There's obviously certain Marvel movies that are worse than that, which I won't get into detail, but the Marvels. Anyways, but yeah, he's just saying that it's just not the best.
Right, but we don't want to parrot his opinion. What are our own? And I guess because you know the drill. We're talking about Captain America. We have a whole thing that we do. Yeah. But I guess I'll start out with my goofy take is that I genuinely don't think it's as bad as everyone else says it is. Crucify me, shoot me in the balls if you have to. But I honestly think when compared to a lot of Marvel movies. Yeah, exactly. Just have Red Hulk. Have Red Hulk punch me so hard I can't produce, whatever. But I think when it comes to the larger Marvel pantheon, I think this is this is in the middle, because to me, if I'm going, this is one of the worst MCU movies, I'm judging that against stuff like Black Widow or the Marvels or Quantumania or your Thor: The Dark Worlds or your Thor 1s or your Thor: Love and Thunders. Man, Thor had a rough go. But you get my point. There's a lot of stuff that I think this is a lot better than, but it also does not reach the upper echelon of your bangers. I think it's dead in the middle. I think that this was really as far as I understand, a lot of the reshoot reporting has been very fabricated. It's been very quiet, emotional. It only went through, from what I understand, a couple round of reshoots instead of the 4 or the 5 that all the outlets are saying.
I've heard many sources say that it was just the 4.
Right, but I've heard it everywhere spanned 1 or 2. So the point is that you can tell this was kind of reshot to hell and back when you were watching it, and I think it's fine. I honestly think this movie is going to end in a very Iron Man 2 situation in terms of its legacy, where yes, the movie itself is very flawed, but people are going to latch on to stuff like Harrison Ford's Red Hulk if he comes back, Anthony Mackie's Captain America when he comes back, Joaquin Torres as the new Falcon. There's a lot of bits of this movie that I think are going to work long term for the MCU, but the movie itself, it's darn. The plot wasn't great. It was kind of a rehash of Winter Soldier. The villains were very weirdly used. We'll get into it, obviously, but I think in short, where I'm coming from, I don't think it's the worst MCU movie. I don't think it's a 5 out of 10. I think it's a 6.5.
That's fair.
If I'm kind of being critical, but that's what I would give it.
I went into the theater to watch Brave New World is like an open mind, of course. And obviously, I was saying like, oh, I think this is gonna be great. It's gonna be good. But then like I decided, you know what? I'm not gonna like praise this movie too much. So I'm just gonna take it back a bit. And at the end, getting out of it, I thought it was good. I personally enjoyed it. I loved a lot of the stuff that happened in the movie. I did notice, like, even watching it, there's just a lot of stuff that was cut out. Like, just like with sources talk about like certain like groups, certain people were being cut out, certain scenes were being worked around, and just it was easy to notice it. And some parts, I think I noticed in one spot where it felt like the set, like the CGI or the lighting was very different. So I kind of like had like skeptical. I think you might know what part I'm talking about.
I remember there was a lot of shots where like the wings were there and then the wings weren't, or whatever reason. It's very strange.
Yeah. And also one thing that I noticed during watching this movie was at some parts like the audio went like really like muffled per se. Like
really, I don't think I had that problem.
Like it was sounding like it was like you were hearing it out of like a walkie-talkie or something like that. I guess it was just my theater, the way I experienced it, and probably that. But I saw the movie in 3D, and honestly, seeing it in 3D was pretty cool. I haven't seen a movie like that a 3D movie in years. I think last time I saw it was like when I went to go see Monsters vs. Aliens all the way back a decade. And I get to see
movies to watch in 3D: Monsters vs. Aliens and Captain America: Brave New World.
Rogen's Bob just pop out his eyes, just be like.
Not even like something like Avatar, which is you're meant to see in 3D. No. You're locking in Monsters vs. Aliens.
Or Megamind too, which I did see that in 3D as well.
That's a great movie, so that's different.
Yeah, but all in all, my opinion, it was good. I enjoyed it. I gave it like a 7.5. I give it between a 7.5 and an 8 out of 10, in my opinion. And plus, everybody's entitled to their own opinion. I still enjoyed it for what it was.
Shame we're not like the most serious podcast. It's the same one where Brice unironically gave Cars 2 like an 8 or something like that. A couple like last episode. So I didn't think.
And also you saying that Mariah Carey's "All I Want for Christmas Is You" is supposed to be an A tier when
I said overplayed. We're not doing this again. No, screw off. I'm not doing this again. Revisionist history. I just can't. But I need to get angry about something else because we got a whole quick synopsis to get to.
Yes,
so, gang, let me lead you through a very quick synopsis of Captain America: Brave New World. So we start with a simple fact. You know that Celestial Tema or whatever his goofy name, Tiamat. What I didn't watch the Eternals. I'm sorry. I've only read some of the modern comics it was based on. That's on me. But
I read it not read it. Watched it up north back in 2021 with my dad. It was all right. It was fine, I guess.
I like Kingo. That's all I have to add.
Kingo was pretty good.
Anyway, but we have Tiamat. He's the celestial island because, fun fact, he's dead. He's a big old dead husk in the middle of the Indian Ocean. And guess what? He has adamantium. That's Wolverine's skeleton, guys. Reference, point. But all the countries want it, essentially, because why wouldn't you? It's a valuable metal. It's not vibranium. It's not only in Wakanda. You don't have to deal with them. Valuable metal, money. Gotta get it.
First come, first serve.
So this is what happens. President Ross, Thaddeus Thunderbolt Ross, is elected president, even though he has a past to being called the Hulk Hunter, because for those of y'all who remember the Incredible Hulk 2008, he wanted to hunt down the Hulk and kill him because that's just what you got to do, man. And his daughter, Betty, basically disowned him after that. So 17 years of estrangement because, you know, when you send the military to like hunt down your boyfriend, naturally things go haywire.
Yeah, you're just like, nah, I don't want you in my life anymore. Get out. I'm not going to talk to you.
So 5 months later, Ross sits there and goes, hey, because Falcon like saves like a thing of adamantium from like the...
it was a shipment that Sidewinder, played by Giancarlo Esposito, is that how you pronounce it?
Giancarlo Esposito.
Yeah, Giancarlo. So he plays Sidewinder, and he's collecting a container like to bring to a certain buyer, which we'll just talk about that later. And the Falcon or Captain America comes in, beats everybody, and gets the container. Also, thanks to Joaquin Torres, aka the new Falcon.
You keep wanting to say Joaquin Phoenix. I
know.
Like, you keep wanting to slip into it.
I know it's like got to stop myself, but anyways, besides talking about the society, back to Captain America, back to America.
God, why does every superhero movie come back to society? I hate it. Brave New World, New Society, New World. God, I hate it. I just want.
I feel like the name change from like New World Order to Brave New World. It's good. I like it.
It's fine. But they get back the adamantium that was stolen by Sidewinder and the rest of the serpent goofs, and they go back to, like, they bring it back, and they go to Isaiah Bradley, you know, the disgraced Captain America who spent 30 years in prison. He was the original one. They experimented on him and such. Mm-hmm. Fun
he was
character.
also shown in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, if you guys watched that.
Which, that's like, what, movie or show number 3 you need to understand to watch Captain America? This is going to be a fun list.
Yeah, definitely.
But after Sam Wilson and the gang to have like rescues of adamantium, Ross invites him and Joaquin to the White House, but he's like, hey, Isaiah has to come too. That's the only way I'm coming. So they go to the White House, and Ross is like, hey, I want to reform the Avengers with you as a government thing. Naturally, Sam's like, you arrested me. Why should I trust you?
You betrayed us with the Sokovian Accords. Why do you have a sudden change of heart? Why do you want to like set up a team that you disbanded?
He's not William Hurt anymore.
Yeah, we'll talk about that later once we get to the wheel.
Yeah, because fun fact, William Hurt is dead. But anyway, but Ross is like, hey, listen, I want you to reform the Avengers, and naturally Wilson doesn't want to do that, but anyway, that's so on and so forth. So they go into the real reason why all these people are here, and that's because Ross is pitching his treaty. Hey, I want to make sure that all the adamantium is going to countries equally, because his whole campaign was built on giving himself a second chance, uniting the nation together. Very like common stuff. I don't know. But oh no, Isaiah Bradley ends up shooting Ross point blank in the face, along with a bunch of or attempting to shoot him.
Other CIA,
a bunch of other agents, and it's later revealed that hey, they were mind controlled by a bunch of other random shenanigans. But we'll get into that later. So they're apprehended. Isaiah has to go back to jail after he just got out, and now Wilson is basically like, I want to be in this investigation. Like, I have to be here. And Ross is like, no, you're too close. I'm going to hand it over to Ruth, my security director or whatever, who's ex-widow. And she's like, that's how she fights good. So Wilson's like, oh, man, I can't just sit back idly and watch my boy get thrown in jail. I got to do something.
Everything happening. Let's do it. Let's go on. Let's investigate. Let's split up and start looking for more clues, gang.
Joaquin Torres really does kind of look like a young Shaggy. Like if you squint a little hard.
I could like Wilson. Are we going to investigate this?
Like Zoinks, man! I just got punched in the face.
Like Zoinks, Scoo. Why did they shoot the president?
Like Zoinks, man! Turn on the channel, any channel. They hit the Pentagon.
We're under attack.
Breaking news. Warner just announced their new spin-off of Scooby-Doo. Scooby-Doo reacts to untimely historical events.
Scooby-Doo and historical events crossovers. Gosh, I wish.
No. I hate it.
Anyways, back to investigations in Brave New World.
Right. That's way more important.
Yeah, I think at one point, the leader called this one actor comes in. I forget the actor's name, but he comes in and I think calls. I think it was after the shoot. Sam goes to the prison to talk to Isaiah about what happened, and then Isaiah's like, "Look, listen. I just remember at one point we were in the room talking about like whole adamantium. The next, I was in one of the monuments with all the cop cars around me because obviously he was mind control something happened. He started attacking the president and ran away. So
he got mind controlled.
Yeah, pretty much. And then what else happened? And then Charlie, you go with whatever happens.
They go to basically where they think like the originator of this call was, which is a hidden site, Camp Echo 1 in Virginia. No overhead, like no world.
Like, he traced a call from the leader at one point.
Yeah, no Google Earth footage, no nothing. Very remote.
I forgot one thing. So it was, I think Sam Wilson was driving when he was attacked by Sidewinder, and Sidewinder comes in, talks about like he thinks he kills him, but then Sam comes back and And Sidewinder's like, oh no, I already know what's gonna happen. My boss told me everything about what's going on. And they get to a junkyard. Sam creates a smoke diversion, stops Sidewinder, and then gets a call from the leader and is like, hi, this is all part of my plan. Hangs up.
It's very strange the way that fight scene happened because at one point Wilson lays out Sidewinder and it looks like he's just genuinely dead. Like he's like across the hood of his car, arms and legs in multiple directions.
Like, hey, how you doing?
He has like knives and everything in him. He just genuinely looks like he's done. But no, he just gets up and goes.
He needs a little nap, basically.
And like as far as we know, there's no serum with him. He has no powers. He's just a guy who shoots good. It's like, what are we doing here, man?
What's going on? But
like, I don't know what's gonna hurt these people. I don't know the stakes, but anyway. But
yeah, and now
we go to Camp Echo 1, and we learn that the mastermind is Samuel Stearns, aka the leader from 2008. We've been waiting 17 years to see how this tease will happen, and it's finally being paid off. What a goat! And it turns out that Stearns gained advanced intellect after he was captured by Ross, scapegoated for the abomination in 2008 in Harlem. And Ross forced Stearns to create technology for the military because he's smart and give him the pills that keeps him alive. That's important later.
Yes.
But we learn all of this and he's secretly, oh man, like he engineered everything. He's going to do it all. He knows everything. He orchestrated the adamantium sale. He's mind controlling everyone with a song. And he's going to basically get revenge on Ross and expose him for the villain, for the monster he really is. That's the plan. He knows everything, even though he doesn't, whatever. But Wilson and Torres, and they confront him, they fight, he escapes eventually, and he deduces that he wants to, he wants to destroy Ross's legacy. He's going to have, someone's going to have to start a war or something. We got to warn him, hey, something's going wrong here. He's on his right mind. But, basically what happened is that they fabricated a bunch of files that U.S. military essentially
was going to backstab Japan and just take all the adamantium resources for themselves just so that nobody else can have them and stuff. And the Japanese president is just I don't want to deal with a country that's doing all this behind my back. And Ross is baffled because he's
fuming.
Yeah, fuming. You can even see it in a lot of time.
I think he broke into the same energy for this performance as he does when people ask him Star Wars questions. He just got so mad.
Yeah, one of my favorite things about Harrison Ford, it was an interview. I forget what the question is, but he answers it and he's like, I don't care.
That's kind of why you love him, though, Yeah,
exactly. But anyways, after his fume fest over Japan, he goes to one of Sam. They go. Sam, Joaquin, and Ruth go to a base just to investigate everything, with the mind control and the song and the lights and everything, to figure out how to stop it and who's doing it. And while they're there, they get the pills too that are used to help with Ross. Again, we'll talk about that later. And Sam talks to Sidewinder and is basically talking about how is just a pawn and everything. This is all according to a plan. And that if Sidewinder gets out, he's gonna kill Sam, which
kind of giving them that adversarial cat and mouse or whatever that they're trying to set up for him. But then eventually they go to the battleships because at this point President Thunderbolt Ross is I'm a wartime president now. I'm gonna take out Japan.
Shoot them.
Because they don't believe me.
Get off my plane. I'm going to war.
The only country that's going to do this is America. Money, adamantium. So he's full classic Thunderbolt Ross, full anger, at this point.
Bolt Ross meets Mr. Krabs with money.
Basically, instead of money, it's war. But anyway,
SpongeBob Bob, I want to commit war crimes.
Wasn't Mr. Krabs in the army in the lore though?
Yeah, because
that was part of the Krusty Krab training video or whatever.
Oh, it was that, and also he made other references, and he wore his old military jacket, and then he rips it. He has his old first tattoo and stuff like that.
He makes gruesome references to how he dismembered people and what are definitely war crimes.
Oh, definitely war crimes in Bikini Bottom. Gosh,
you ever seen someone crack a crab, SpongeBob, me Bob?
No, Mr. Krabs, but will you show me? Of course, me Bob.
The way his arms come clean off, there's nothing more satisfying than hearing a clean crack.
And hearing the nice crinkle. And did we ever? Dang, I was gonna go.
Where are you going with this? I was
gonna go into cannibalism.
Whoa! This isn't the robot chicken sketch. We're like crabs are made out of the crusty crabs are made out of crabs or whatever. Krabby Patties are made out of crabs.
I love that. I love robot chicken. But anyways, back to war.
Yes, back to gun, shoot. But anyway, so they go to the Indian Ocean where the Celestial Island is, and basically what happens is that there's a couple F-18 pilots that are brainwashed by the leader, and they're going to start firing on Japan. Luckily, Wilson and Torres are able to intercept the planes and take them down, but not without Torres taking a major injury and falling into the water, almost dying like Sam's original co-pilot did in The Winter Soldier. Right. Fun, kind of callback to the lore. That one works. I wish they would have made it a little more obvious, because I feel like if you're not super into the MCU, you wouldn't have known why that was such a big moment. We'll get to that later. But all in all, they're able to stop the pilots and everything seems fine. Wilson learns that Ross is actually dying of heart failure at this point, and that's the reason why he has to take the pills from the leader. But they're actually filled with gamma radiation that's largely being increased over time. I wonder what's going to happen there. And obviously, he can't stop taking the pills or else he's going to die. So we cut back to being Washington, D.C., Torres is in the hospital, and we get a cute little scene between Wilson and Mr. Sebastian Stan himself, Bucky Barnes, the Winter Soldier.
That was a good video. I did like that.
We did get a good scene where it's Cap is having his low moment and Bucky's trying to console him and such. And you kind of feel that brotherly bond between them. And it's hey, I'm happy we went a Captain America movie and we remembered to include Bucky. That part's great. So very happy about that. That was a fun scene.
And they mentioned... I couldn't remember at one point they mentioned did they both watch the Roger musical? I thought they mentioned something like that. It was like Sam gave it a B+ or something.
I know Hawkeye watched it. I don't remember.
Yeah, I forget what it was though. But
was that a bit in the lore that I missed in MCU?
Yeah, that was a bit in the story where they were talking about a movie. Another movie or a theater production, they're oh yeah, it was good. I give it a B. It was all right. I thought
that was just a joke about him ranking his speech that he gave him, because the whole bit was the script writers wrote that after he gave us his big emotional speech.
It could be that. I could be wrong, but anyways, back to the White House.
I was too busy oogling Sebastian Stan, going hee Winter Soldier. But anyway, but after that, Stearns essentially turns himself in. Basically, he confronts Sam out in the public and goes, you confuse me. I know everything, but this is the only way I can do this. And he leaks everything that we know about Ross to the public. So his public image is basically screwed. And after the stress of being at a press conference before then, though, he gets on a call with Betty, his daughter, who they kind of seem they're finally going to patch things up. We all know how this is going to go. 3, 2, 1. He finally transforms into the Red Hulk into the third act.
Also, during that scene, there's the audio that the leader had of his conversation with him. Ross, and which causes him a lot of stress, and obviously he starts to become red, and he's burning the ground a bit, and eventually Red Hulk.
Right, because he promised that I would free you. Yeah, they're red now.
They're red now.
I just hate. But
somehow Red Hulk.
Finally get Red Hulk in this movie. This heavily Red Hulk advertised movie in the third act. Mm-hmm. And it's fun for what it is, he's running around, running amok, destroying the White House and destroying monuments. And naturally, Sam and the military, they're trying to take him down, man. And we actually get a pretty fun fight for what it is between Sam and the Red Hulk, where he's using his wings in interesting ways with the vibranium and cutting through stuff.
Yeah, in the cherry garden.
Trying to outrun him as he's trying to chase him down and stuff. It's a cute scene. It
was really fun.
It was a fun scene for what it was, but it felt like it should have been longer, but we'll get into that later. it eventually all culminates with them fighting. Sam loses one of his wings, and because fun fact about his wings in this movie, they're vibranium, and anyone who's seen Black Panther knows that the more kinetic energy you put into it, they can put it right out. So he stabs Red Hulk in the chest with his one remaining wing.
The right wing.
Boom, boom, boom.
Yeah. Oh, we're so sorry that you got stabbed. You stabbed President Rollins. You get 5 big booms. Boom, 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 boom.
Such brain rot on this stupid podcast. But anyway.
Oh, we're so sorry to hear about your gamma poisoning. You get 5 big booms.
I don't want to see Captain America Joaquin Torres doing the boom meter. I better. I swear to God, the Marvel social team better not be. I better not be seeing that. But anyway,
who would win in a fight, Big Justice or Red Hulk?
Red Hulk, no questions asked. I'm not Big Justice. Now the Rizzler.
The Rizzler shows up, just does like the Riz face, and then Red Hulk just deforms into Thunderbolt Ross. It's just like you got Riz, kid.
He become the Red Rizzler, the new hit superhero.
The Red Rizzler.
The Red Rizzler, the angriest man alive.
Oh my gosh, I want to see a Photoshop of that so bad.
We can make it happen. It'll be great. But anyway,
let's make it happen. Let's do it. Just like if this becomes a highlight on the Instagram, just put up a photo of the Rizzler but red.
Jeez, I just hate. I'm gonna have to make that now. But my point is that eventually the fight all culminates with Sam is like beaten down and out, but Red Hulk gets back up, but he has an emotional conversation with him, like, listen, you want to change.
The sun's going down, buddy.
The sun is very much up. Like, I don't think that's how that works. But anyway, he goes to do a whole conversation where it's like, listen, think about your daughter. And then immediately he goes, and then he turns back into a human. All it took him was mentioning his stupid daughter. It's like, that felt anticlimactic. We'll get to it. But hey, Ross is fine now, and he gets sent to the raft, and all seems fine. So following that, Bradley is freed from jail because obviously he didn't do anything wrong. Torres regains consciousness. They share him and Sam a cute little scene right at the end. And Ross
about his trick as like the Falcon with like his like
right, how to kick, because that was a whole bit. And he has a moment with Ross at the raft where he was like, because it's kind of cute because, hey, you put me in prison here, now I put you in prison here. Yuck.
And also the president admit that he did a lot of stuff and he'll pay the price.
Right. And then he brings along Betty, his daughter, and they finally start having a conversation for the first time in person in 17 years.
Exactly. And if you guys all know, like, Betty Ross, she's the female, like, she's Red She-Hulk from the comics.
Right. But, more importantly, she was Bruce Banner's original girlfriend. So, like, I wonder if we'll see that come into play soon. Probably not. But anyway.
Probably for a World War Hulk movie. World War Hulk. That would be good.
Who knows if they're going to make that. But, yeah. And then that's basically the movie. That's basically it. That's your goofy little synopsis.
Yeah. Oh, well, we can't forget the last thing, the post-credits scene. So
right, where the leader is at the raft and Sam's like, "I'll put you in jail." And it's like, do you really think you're the only one? Do you really think I'm the only one? You're the only one of you. I've looked into the numbers. I have looked into the probabilities. What are you going to do about the others?
Which is a subtle hint to something coming soon.
Multiverse? More multiverse?
Battle world? That would be cool.
Oh, man. Secret Wars, Doomsday. Oh, golly gee. But that's the movie. There you go. That's the whole stinking thing.
That's the bravest of new worlds for you.
That was a pretty quick synopsis, I would say. But let's get into some detail. Let's get a little intimate with it.
Yeah. So obviously, like that we've done for a while now is we've done our nega wheel where we have a list of options, and on our wheel we have Anthony Mackie's acting, Danny Ramirez, who's Joaquin Torres, his acting, Harrison Ford's acting, which are like the main three like that you see a lot on screen, the choreography, the fighting, the something else of an ending, the critical reception when the movie came out, the talk about like a little bit like going to little stuff about the reshoots and what was the leader and his view in like his Marvel's interpretation of it.
Right. So let's spin. Let's see. All
right. It's not spinning. Hey, come on. Hold on. Let me restart it.
Water.
Nope. Okay, it's spinning. It's spinning. And we have... Wait. Anthony Mackie's acting.
Okay, so when I was mentioning in my little early spiel about what I think the legacy of this movie is going to be in the long term, I think people are going to look at this movie as a lackluster plot attached to a good actor. Anthony Mackie. I think he killed it.
He did great. I enjoyed it.
I think the most important part of this movie was how much are people going to buy Anthony Mackie as Captain America? And this was it. This was his test. And I really hope they learned that people were complaining about the plot and not Mackie himself. Right. Because I think he did a great job. He felt like the culmination of what he would be after Falcon Winter Soldier, where he's confident. He's very much in a Steve Rogers-like role where he's not going to take anything from anyone. It was refreshing. I remember I was one of the people who were after Endgame, I was going, Sam got the shield? Really? Whatever. But then you kind of watch Falcon Winter Soldier. You're kind of sold. I was kind of sold on it, but I still needed to see more. This is what I needed to see. I thought this totally worked for what it was. I wish it was plotted better, obviously, but I think Sam Wilson, for what he was in this movie, I thought he had the confidence to pull off Captain America. I thought
I think he enjoyed the role too. He loved it. And also I know in a lot of his interviews he was talking about how Captain America, his view on Captain America is not just about American views, but also about how he stands for hope and humanity instead of just one specific country. And obviously, yes, the idea of Captain America was in America, but both Steve Rogers and Sam Wilson stand for the people, and they care about the world and want good worldly views everywhere instead of just on one specific, instead of imposing one specific view on life.
Right. The best way that I think Captain America should be described is that they fight for what America should be, not what it actually is.
Right.
That's the whole point, And I know a lot of people looked at that Mackie quote and said oh, does he not like being American? Does he not want to be Captain America? What was that going on? First of all, Evans had a very similar take on it in 2014, if I remember correctly, but no one got up in arms about him then. So for those of y'all who's it's guys, Evans said the same thing back in the day. Why can't Mackie?
Yeah. Chris Evans said it. Nobody batted an eye. But when Mackie says it, society.
But also I think it's partially because I think Mackie was put in a very unfortunate situation with this movie coming out. God, was it 4 years after Falcon and Winter Soldier? Didn't Falcon and Winter Soldier drop in 2021?
Yeah, it did.
And that part really sucks because I think if this movie came out a year after Falcon and Winter Soldier, I think this movie would be a lot more liked, honestly, because it feels like the biggest
a
problem
year after Falcon and Winter Soldier, it would have been better.
Yeah, I feel honestly a lot of people would have liked this a lot more, mainly because I think the fact that people just had such strong aversion to Mackie and to this whole thing was because we've been waiting for years to see the payoff of this, and this ultimately what it was. And that just kind of sucks because I feel with Mackie, if they kind of place him in more of a leadership role in this universe and they put him in more stuff, we would have been more excited for this, maybe the more general public would, instead of just the shills who kind of been like me, who've been waiting for this moment for years. It sucks. But I think Mackie totally rise to the occasion. I thought he totally had the confidence and bravado to pull this off. When he walks into a room, it's the same energy as when Evans walked into a room in the old movies. I don't really know the best way I can really describe it. It's a screen presence thing. There's a certain confidence with how he walks now or the way he acts.
Yeah, they were.
I think he totally nailed. And all the little mannerisms was that he spoke in different languages to address the people. But is he fluent? I'm not sure. But that's a cute detail when he bowed to the Japanese prime minister and stuff. That was a cute little bit.
That was good.
Obviously it's a little in your face, but so is the idea of Captain America. I don't know. I thought it worked. I thought it was really fun. I enjoyed seeing Mackie's performance. I loved seeing Sam Wilson. I really can't say that much about Sam Wilson because, again, I didn't really like him that much before this movie. I thought he was fine for what he was, but it was this and Falcon Winter Soldier that really sold me on him. I remember Shane, there's a distinct memory I remember where we were climbing up a sand dune once in northern Michigan.
Yeah, that was 2018 because it was,
And so before Endgame.
Yeah, do you mind if I tell you real quick?
No, yeah, sure.
Yeah. For context, me and Charlie, like we were so every year, my dad and one of his fraternity brothers and our families will just do like a camping trip. I invited Charlie, and he obliged to come with me. I didn't force him. Charlie was like, "No, I get one." He go, I'm just like, "You're gonna go, and you're gonna like it." Oh wait, no. I mean, okay, yeah, you should come on. It's gonna be fun. So our group decides to do the Sleeping Bear Dunes. Just you run down the hill, go down to Lake Michigan, and then you do the 2-hour climb up. I got a nice rock from it, but that climb really took the wind out of both of us. It definitely allowed for me.
Yeah, it definitely, like, you handled it better than I did. I remember that specifically. It wasn't sleeping. It wasn't like the main Sleeping Bear Dune one that you think of.
Yeah, where it's like you climb up the mountain and then you do like a mile and a half. Is it mile?
No,
like you do the walk.
It's like a mile or two walk, but like it's a very specific like edge of that park where like you go straight down, and like even like the thing about that climb is that if you have to climb. That's the point. There's no great place for like you to just like sit there and say, "Oh, I don't want to climb. I'm going to walk around." Like, no, the only way back up is to climb. Like the only other way is that like if a helicopter shows up, and picks you up, you really don't want to do that.
Yeah, you don't want to spend $3,000 on a helicopter trip to pick you up from your spot on the mountain to the top.
Right. Like, so we had to climb it, and the only thing that was powering me through the whole time was I was ranting about how lame Falcon was.
Yeah, you were talking to my dad about it. And on like my dad and I were talking like after we tried. He's like, "Yeah, Charlie was talking to me about like Marvel stuff. How he didn't like Falcon and stuff." I'm just like, "Yeah, that's Charlie, all right. He's the Marvel guy."
That like. Because the thing with me is that like the only way I can get through some situations is pure spite. Like I just have to like start yapping, and like that was my only through line. So that was my impression of Falcon for that whole time.
Yeah, like, for me, I was just like through the whole thing. I'm just like, all right, just got to keep going. Just focus on the ground. Just don't look up. Just mind over matter. Just.
No, that was my problem. I had to lock. I couldn't. I didn't lock in. I didn't have that locking in capability yet until I was older. So the whole. Yeah, but anyway, back to Anthony Mackie. I loved him. I thought he did a great job, and I can't wait to see him in more stuff.
Exactly, especially in like the other like Avengers Doomsday and Secret Wars coming out, and
he says he wants to do this for 10 more years. So
exactly. And I did a little research, and I watched the video on like the entire lore about the Kang Dynasty. But I think that's like another topic for the future, like discuss about the plot and everything and like everything. But basically, there's a lot to it. We'll hopefully.
But also, fun fact, I'm pretty sure the video you watched was wrong because there's never been a Kang Dynasty script that's leaked. That's a fan fiction.
Oh, fan fiction? Oh, okay. But I felt like different stuff about it. So, like, there are other videos talking about it. But anyways, let's go back to the wheel. So, let's spin this thing. And we've got critical reception.
Well, we might as well rip the Band-Aid right off. This movie was not received well.
Definitely.
I think as of this recording, which is of Friday, the day of our Lord, Valentine's Day, February 14th.
On Rotten Tomatoes.
It currently is sitting with a
50% for the the obvious the original viewers and a 79% audience review.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's currently sitting at like a 5.9 on IMDb.
Yep.
And I know Google Reviews has it like a 3.5 stars or like 3.2 stars out of 5 or whatever. Like it's not doing great. Why is that? Well, I think for one thing, this movie just came out way too late. You know, I think it suffers to a similar problem that Black Widow did, where it's a movie about a thing that we would care about like 2 or 3 years ago. You know, if this came out like in 2023, I think it actually would have hit a lot harder. Like obviously some stuff had to get shifted and moved around because of, delays and rewrites and COVID and such, like we get it. But it just felt like this one came out way too late. And I think the critics looked at that and said like, we know what this is.
Years just for this, which it should have been.
No, that, and also because like this movie is like being compared a lot to Winter Soldier in terms of its tone and its action sequences, which I think is a fair comparison because it has a lot of beats from that. It has a lot of like, don't trust the government officials, yada yada yada. Character has to go on their own.
Conspiracies and whatnot.
it's a very like, if you've seen a Marvel thing, you kind of know what you're getting into. This isn't like a Guardian situation, which is going to blow your mind because it's so different, or like a Shang-Chi where it's, oh, this is really refreshing. It's like, this is a very like standard MCU fare. And I just think we're 35 movies in, we're at the point where it's like standard is like worse, you know? Like we're just so like used to the standard MCU thing. Like there were so many moments when I was watching the movie where I knew when a joke was happening. I could like tell you exactly when they were going to like do a bit. And even though I'm fine with that, because again, 35 movies in, I'm still watching them. It's like, I think it's fine. But to the audience, this movie did not, I think, do enough to prove that, hey, we're different. I've seen so many reviews that went, this is the regurgitated like MCU leftovers, like bargain bin thing, because I don't know. Like I also think largely it just kind of ties into the fact that you need to do a lot of that, and also you need to do a lot of homework to, I feel like, to get the most out of this movie. And again, to mega fans like me, I've done the homework and I had a fun time. But that's not everyone. That's not your average viewer, because you need to understand the first 3 Captain America movies, the Falcon and the Winter Soldier Disney Plus show, the Eternals movie. Mm-hmm. You need to understand the Incredible Hulk from 2008 and remember all that stuff. You need to know what adamantium is if you're an X-Men fan. Like, there's so many little
bits of information you need to process to go in to watch this movie.
Right. And if all of like some of these projects came out, like if Eternals had just come out, if something like Incredible Hulk had just come out, I think it'd be fine. But the fact of the matter is, like, we've been waiting 17 years for some of these payoffs to happen, and we're only finally getting them, and this is what they are. It was a recipe, I think, for disappointment, unless, like, no matter how you sliced it, you know? Mm-hmm. And it's rough.
I have a feeling that hopefully we'll talk about this on the wheel, but also kind of like drove like the reviews down a bit were the reshoots, because there was a lot of stuff from the original like leaks and stuff about Brave New World that were supposed to be in it that got cut. For an example, the Serpent Society. I think there's supposed to be like
a Marvel tradition. We're not getting the Serpent Society in a movie.
Exactly, and basically like they were supposed to be like a huge prominent role and stuff, and hopefully they would have gotten their like own like screen time and whatnot. But no, they decided, you know what, we're gonna scrap it. Diamondback was also another character that was teased from a McDonald's
Happy Meal toy, yeah.
Yeah, but it turns out that Happy Meal was sad because Diamondback was not shown in the movie at all.
No.
And I
think that was the same toy that gave Red Hulk the mustache, if I remember correctly. Like there was
it was, yeah. And
like, there's little bits about this movie that feel Frankenstein.
Exactly. And there was also like, was there something there could have, I feel like with Ruth's character, they kind of like maybe like somewhat toned her down a bit.
She was supposed to be a mutant, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Like,
her original
character. But they just kind of like changed it to she was ex-Widow, which I guess is fine. That's an easier explanation than like bringing mutants in, because I think they're waiting until after 2027 to see how that's going to fly.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Yeah.
Like this movie did. I remember it was weird because on Twitter, I remember after the review embargo went up, I saw mostly positive things. So then the morning after, people were just dunking on it, and it was rough.
It was just whew, something else. We'll tell you that.
But I guess what I would say to end this is that I don't think it's as bad as a 5 out of 10. I think that's a really harsh comparison. I think if you honestly look at a lot of MCU stuff on paper, it's a lot better than most of it. Like I would say it's better than something like Iron Man 2, all
Agreed.
3 of the Thor movies that aren't Ragnarok. I'd say it's better than the Incredible Hulk. I'd say it's better than the Marvels, Quantumania. Honestly, I think it's better than all the Ant-Man movies. Like
Eternals too.
Eternals, like I think it's better than a lot of MCU stuff if you really want to stack it. But at this point in the game where you're 17 years into this mega franchise, you got to be different, and I just think this movie to the critics didn't be different enough. And like if you're like a standard MCU fan, I think you're going to think it's fine. But like if you're like someone like really looking for like a reason to get back into Marvel, someone like really looking for a reason to put them down, this is going to be that.
Definitely. You said it best, Charlie. I really don't have anything else to say about it. Just like there's just a lot, and plus the fan, like a lot of people like expect a lot from these movies, and they also kind of like help like kind of like changes their views on the movie in the end. So, because it's like people go and expect like, oh, this A is about to happen, B, C, etc.
I'm gonna get 17 cameos.
Oh boy, we're gonna get 1,000 like Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness. There's supposed to be a lot of like stuff about it and like
where's Ghost Rider?
Exactly. And I think I remember at one point there's supposed to be a scene where like Wanda, like from Multiverse of Madness, Wanda was actually supposed to go up against Charles Xavier, but that whole thing gets scrapped. It's just being like, oh, I'm gonna go into the mind of the Scarlet Witch and save
a fun
Wanda.
scene though.
No, it was cool. I did like that, and also one more thing about Multiverse of Madness, but I think Baldur the Brave was supposed to be a part of the Illuminati.
Yeah, he was.
He got cut out, which that would have been cool to see. He's a pretty interesting character.
I'm happy to change it, but
yeah, you know what else is interesting? The wheel. So we'll spin it, and we already the reshoots. Do we want? I think we just.
I have a bit more to say, but on the topic of the reshoots, because I know the number fluctuates depending on the outlet that you look at. Some of them report 4 to 5. I personally believe it was 1 to 2, but you can really tell this was Frankenstein. And I know you mentioned earlier, Shane, is that there's a lot of shots where it's like, I don't want to say the CGI is unfinished. I think it honestly, like, there's never a moment in there where it looks like Black Panther, where it's like turns into a PS2 cutscene. It's never that bad. Honestly,
it wasn't
I think most of the CGI was fine. Too. No, it's like there's never a shot where it's like you can really tell it was a green screen, like it was in No Way Home. Like I think most of the CGI worked for what it was, but when you see footage of like what the Hulk looked like in 2008, like you could really tell. Oh man, but I don't know. Like there was a lot of bits of this movie that you can tell was like we have to reshoot this, we have to reshoot that, and I want to talk about how I think that affected the pacing, because there's so many sequences in this movie that felt like it should have been longer than what they were at the end of the day, which sucks because I think like the movie could have been a lot solid if maybe it had like 20 more minutes to really expand on all of its ideas.
Yeah, like 2 hours and 10 minutes. That would have been cool.
It felt like we didn't have enough conversations. You know, it was very go, 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 go. In terms of getting to set piece 1, set piece 2, set piece 3, that I felt like we missed a lot of bits where characters were arguing about ideologies or like just, verbally sparring. Is that some of the best stuff in a lot of the best Marvel movies and the Captain America movies specifically? I think the Captain America movies have generally some of the best dialogue exchanges in the MCU, and it kind of sucks. I feel like with the reshoots, we maybe lost some of that.
Yeah, I do know, and also in the movie there was definitely a lot of phone calls, especially from the leader, just because he's trying to be like this.
Because they're easy to edit.
Oh, exactly.
Easy to film.
He's like he's hidden. He keeps himself hidden in like shadows, hoods, glasses, the whole 9 yards.
He looks so. We'll get to him when we do.
Yeah, but we'll talk about how his head looks like vomit. Basically, like a 2-year-old child just threw up on it. He's just like, you know what? It's a fashion statement. I'm gonna keep it.
Right, but movie. The movie felt like it was in the editing bay forever. You know, and I guess it just kind of speaks to the fact that it had 5 writers. It had it was in development for so long, and that ultimately it feels like nowadays, especially with Marvel, where if you do not have a strong vision from the start, your movie might be screwed. Like Multiverse of Madness went over the same thing, where it had a different director, and then it moved over to Sam Raimi because it was just going to be way more of a horror movie than it was, and that they shoehorned Sam Raimi to kind of try and save it, and it made something sense. You know, they made something, but the only Marvel movie I can think of that didn't have to go this hard with the reshoots recently was Deadpool and Wolverine. If I remember correctly,
was done pretty well, just because of how and expectations, and also they were filming it, or they had to stop filming because of the whole actor strike that was going on.
Because the writers and the actors, they all struck, but also because that was Sean Levy's and Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman's baby for so long. Like that was who was in charge of that movie. That was kind of left untouched. That was the leadership. That was the vision. Say what you want about Levy as a filmmaker. I have my opinions, but he had a very strong presence on that set. Like you can really tell if you watch the documentary. It's like there was probably reshoots in there somewhere. I may be forgetting, but it felt like there was a very strong vision, and that's why I think that movie came out as a stronger product than this, because there were so many different cooks in the kitchen. It eventually produced this.
Yeah, and also there's also like a lot of references to like the comic stuff too, like from Deadpool and Wolverine. We've also mentioned it on our Deadpool and Wolverine episode, which check that out because it was a fun one, and of how like the Deadpool going like all the different universes and finding all these like other Wolverine variants to then other Fox characters too, and how they brought them back and just
right. But I want to end on the reshoots note is that I don't think reshoots are inherently a bad thing.
But when you
more
overdo
of that when you spend so much time reshooting, you kind of lose the sauce. You know, you lose the original vision. And I think that's unfortunately what happened here. But even if I don't think it came out as worse as something like Suicide Squad, it still came out like a bit Frankenstein. And you can tell with the way it's paced.
Oh, definitely. There's a lot of stuff where I had a feeling that there was something supposed to happen here, but then obviously in the end they had to get rid of it entirely or just redo it and stuff. And there's just a lot that was going on. But anywho, back to the wheel we go. Spinning, and we have... What the hell was the leader? And oh boy, the design was just very... I remember watching the original Hulk movie like a few weeks ago, and obviously in one scene there was like a part where like what's the guy's actual name?
The actor, like the leader's like real name.
Leader's actual name.
Samuel Stearns?
Yeah, Samuel Stearns, where he's on the ground, he feels like there's the banner's blood dropping, and then his like brain shuffles. I thought it was just gonna be like a lot of it was just a very like gross feeling, just because in the movie his left eye is gone, he sees out of his right, his body's green, his brain is like shit, like forcing out, lost all of his hair, and it was very interesting. And I remember seeing like a leaked photo of how the actor's like green, like his arms were green up to like his elbow and his face was normal, and everybody didn't know if he was just going to be like from the comics with the giant forehead or just have like the brain, because it was I'll give it this, I saw the vision, but it was an interesting way of putting it.
It definitely because I know there's original concept art and advertising where you can actually still buy some of this merch right now, because again, that's how much reshot this movie was actually, of the leader having a more traditional 60s era Marvel comic design. But in the end, they changed it to, I want to say was 90s 2000, where they made the head more bulbous and they got rid of most of the hair. Yeah, because there's a bunch of different leader designs, but that's the one I think this era comes from, the 2000s, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I'm looking up images, and it does show they're like obviously on AMC they still have the shirt of the leader, and it just shows like he has his like the goatee look, the giant forehead.
Like they were gonna go full comic accurate.
Exactly, and also with the pop figure too, they still have like him.
It's crazy. It's crazy how much merch you can buy of the leader that is just not him in the movie at all, and
totally different.
And I guess on that note, I understand why they changed it. You know, it's like they wanted to make him more of a freak. They wanted to make Ross seem more of a bad guy for doing this to him to fit the tone of the movie. Yeah. But I just don't think it worked. Like, I think what's getting me is the fact that we never really watched him wear something a little more villainous, if that makes sense. He's dressed in fairly normal clothes. There's a couple shots of him where the dark lighting where the light is only really on his chin that kind of work. But yeah,
he's either in jogger wear or like a business suit. It was definitely a lot of the hoodie stuff, kind of like the hoodie that I'm wearing.
It's so strange because it feels like I can't take him seriously in the hoodie. It's like, I love the Hulk. I love his rogues gallery, and I've been advocating for Hulk stuff to be in more Marvel things for a while. But my God, you put him in the middle schooler fit for most of this movie. He looks like he's going to tell you not to come to school tomorrow. It's awful. It's what did you do to him?
So like he's like bringing in like candy from home. He's just like, hey, I got candy. You guys want some? Just.
It's so strange what they did because there's like a scene where like he intercepts one of Sam's friends who's investigating the gamma pills that Ross is taking, and he has like the hoodie and glasses, and like he kills him in the scene, but you can't take him seriously.
Yeah, because he has just hood up, glasses on. He's like, I can't let you do that. No,
I can't. Yeah, he says everything with like a. I can't let you
kill you if I turn the knob. Oops,
would you believe it? Oh my god, I killed you.
Hey Sam, I look like a middle schooler. Can you give me the answers to the math?
He sounds like the movie phone. Yeah, it's awful. It's like. I don't know why you know what he does look like, I guess, in Marvel terms? He looks like the bit from Ant-Man and the Wasp where Scott shrinks down to middle school size, but they're playing it straight. Like, it's so strange the way they adapted the leader, and that's just me talking about his design. His actual actions in the story, listen, an emotional perspective, that part's honestly solid.
100%.
He was taken advantage of by Thunderbolt Ross, locked for years and years, being promised freedom, wasn't getting it. The motivation's there. That part, which is in my opinion the most important part, is fine. The actual actions in the story, though, he predicts nothing.
Yeah, like, it did not help him out at all.
Like, he's supposed to be like the sixth smartest person in the Marvel universe, depending on how you do the rankings. But like, this guy is not like faking to be smart. He's actually supposed to be like one of the smartest people around. But like, there's so many times where it's like, I thought you would do this. You're unpredictable. And it's like, I think you're just like, they just forgot how to write a smart person. It's so strange.
And one thing that I noticed was that he did a lot of killing because while Thunderbolt Ross was in Air Force One and he got a call from one of his generals, he's on the phone. He says like, I have the leader, and then bang, the leader just shoots him dead, and he's like, you're just a pawn in my game. How about those pills? Am I right? I know
it's so weird because it feels like they're so scared to make him a little more theatrical. It's like, it's the leader. Like, everyone kind of knows he's like the big forehead Hulk villain.
ASI forehead
controller guy. He's a goofy little guy. But like, that's the appeal, you know? Hulk's rogues gallery is the opposite of subtle, and that's why we like him, you know? But you have to adapt him to this subtle, or I guess like, you know, political thriller that it's trying to be, and it just doesn't work. Like, I just think those two ideologies do not go together. Like, I understand why they changed it from the original comic design that looks like they were going to go for, but oh my god, it did not work. And it's such a shame because also, I don't even think they called him the leader in this movie. They just keep calling him Samuel Stearns.
Yeah, like, but every Marvel fan would just still call him the leader nonetheless.
Right. So it's like, at that point, you just should give him the name. Like, it feels like one half of this movie is like really okay with being comic booky with stuff like the Red Hulk and the Cap designs and Torres and stuff. But then the other half is so scared to be like a little goofy. Like,
scared to go beyond the threshold of comic stuff.
It's so dumb. Like, they have Ruth have a suit and everything, but you never see her using it. It's like, what are we doing here, guys?
It's like,
what are we doing here?
Match, you see Ruth, you like show off her suit, which honestly,
she has a whole super suit and everything.
Jacket was really, I did like the jacket. That was, I think, one of my favorites about her design. And obviously, like the chest, like her like armor piece. I mean, it's still pretty good though. I did like the silver and blue color scheme with it.
It's just frustrating. He could have been better. Next.
Oh, 100%. He certainly was not leading in his costume design. He was like sideline, blast to be picked for kickball in middle school.
Honestly.
Yeah. But you know what else we're going to pick? Our next topic from the wheel. And let's see. We got... Ooh, it just hit to Danny Ramirez is acting as Joaquin Torres.
There you go. Stop. He's not the Joker.
I had $1 for every time I almost said Joaquin Phoenix. I'd have
but 3. Yeah, Joaquin Torres. He was fun for what he was, you know. Like, he was the cute, plucky, fun sidekick of this movie, you know. I
liked him. He was good.
He loves Sam. He loves everything. He's eager. He makes mistakes. Like, he's your classic, like, young hotshot doofus character. And for what this was, I thought it was fine. I don't think it was too overplayed for most of the serious bits. I thought the opening scene with him was solid.
I wouldn't think so. I think I feel like the director and like everybody, like they did pretty well with his character, just as like energetic, optimistic guy. Like obviously, like still have him be serious in a lot of situations, especially on Celestial Island, taking down the enemy, like the U.S. jets that are under the control of the leader, and then obviously with him like being like all like. Even in the hospital, like towards the end of the movie, he was still joking and like uplifting, even after like getting severely injured with like the scars on his back and everything. And he's just like, hey, I'm doing better, and that's a cool move. You got to teach me.
Yeah, he's your very standard plucky sidekick character, but I'm not saying that in a bad way. I think he's fun. I think audiences are gonna latch onto him if he shows up in more stuff. I don't know. That's all I have to say.
Oh, that's fair. I think my favorite part with his character would be in the scene where he first meets Isaiah, and because he's like, let me show you how I work your phone. No, there's no ribbon, and he just rips off like the protective screen. He's just like, oh,
I want that.
Supposed to do that. Okay, you'll do this, and also he just like help. Like it's kind of like in the part showing him how to like do the airdrop. It's like our generation teaching like our grandparents how to like work the phone. But yeah, his character was pretty cool. I've seen like a lot of there are some like a lot of parts he was like energetic, happy, to then like being serious in the first scene with Isaiah almost killing the president. Which yeah, that's all I have to say about him as well.
And I hope he shows up in more things.
Yeah, I have a feeling. I have a feeling he will. Now back to the wheel. We have. Let's see. Is it going to end on? And it's just by a little bit. We're still on the ending. Is what I put it on.
Okay. So, fun fact about this ending. It's not great, and I mean like this. And I remember. So remember what I said about some sequences needing to be longer. This is what I was referring to. This ending felt like it was really rushed. The fight scene we get with him and Red Hulk, it was fun for what it was, but it felt like it was structured so poorly in terms of like, I needed to see Sam trying multiple different things to bring down the Hulk instead of just throwing his wing daggers or whatever, which is cool. Like that's very comic accurate. Falcon does that in the comics and cartoons. Happy to see it here. No questions asked. It's more of... Cool. I felt like this sequence needed to be like him communicating with Ruth or someone like, this is what we're going to try. Oh, this doesn't work. You bring in this. Oh, this doesn't work. It needs to seem like there's this all hope is lost moment. And then eventually we get Sam having a pep talk with him. And then Betty comes out, you know? That's usually how this traditionally works, is that the Hulk calms down because someone really important to him tells him to calm down. Like for the movies and the comics, that's just the way this is going to go. And it felt like we sped run that with Sam just going, think about your daughter, instantly calms down. That's not satisfying, you know? Like, I think emotionally, the script put this in the right place, but I think I needed to see Betty in this sequence, you know? Like, I think she needed to show up and be the Hail Mary. Like, Sam should have been totally down and out. Like, because it feels like from a writing perspective, why would Ross sit there and like full stop listen to Sam? You know, they're enemies, such and such. Like, obviously, like they have had conversations and things, but like it feels like this is even though like I agree with what this ending is trying to do. Like, how does Sam Wilson fight a Hulk? He talks him down. To me, that makes perfect sense. And I know like for a lot of people, it's kind of unsatisfying, but also it's like, what else are you going to do to stop a Hulk? You know, it's like, I feel like that's fine, but you needed more here. I think like this should have been like a Hail Mary last result play, because honestly, with the way this ending fight scene was, it was too short. It felt like it was like, oh, that works. Like, is there a twist here? Nope. That's just the way it's going to be.
Yeah, and obviously, like, I know we mentioned, like, the whole, like, chase sequence and also at the White House. They could have done, in my opinion, a little bit more, or, like, have, like with Betty, like, being at the press conference, and, like, she's seeing everything, and then, and still have a lot more with the chase sequence. Like it would have been cool if they were to go more into the National Mall, like from the Washington Monument to like running down like the grass patch to like I don't know like in that area,
right? Right, and it also just feels like if you have a character like Red Hulk, who traditionally in the comics is also able to wield fire to a degree, because the whole bit is the angrier he gets, the more on fire he gets, but that also kind of hurts him. Have a bit where they throw him in the Lincoln reflection pool and he has to cool off, and there's a big steam cloud. Like it feels like this ending.
I like that.
It feels like this ending didn't utilize the fun of an ideal like Red Hulk, because I know like not everyone loves Red Hulk, but like for what he is and putting him in DC is like we kind of got it. Like we got a lot of great shots of him like destroying the White House and such, and like jumping in the Washington Monument and such. Like there were some cool bits here.
But it just felt like lackluster to a degree.
It felt like it should have went longer. There should have been more moving pieces to it. And it felt like with the ending, I honestly would have changed it to where Betty came out. Not because I want to take that away from Sam, but rather it's like, I think Sam should have gotten him to the place where he could calm down, and then Betty comes in and then everything's fine. I don't know. I just felt like this ending, like this is probably where I think the reshoots and the changed script affected it the most.
I can also agree with you on that. Like, even having like Betty like show up at instead of like a phone call between like him and Betty like before the whole press conference, if she were to like come in and like actually like see him for just a small bit and have Thunderbolt Ross still like be like stressed out about it and just like not spend too much time, I feel like that would have added like a little bit more sense to it. Just
right.
And just I do agree, like there could have been a lot more with the fight scene, and how like Capture to like use more like if they use more of like that whole Cherry Field area, they had a lot more space. They could have done a lot more.
Right.
Like even have like small like military presence too, like more.
It felt like there should have been more destruction. You know, like it felt like besides the White House and the Washington Monument and the cherry blossom fields by the FDR Memorial, it felt like there was not enough here, man. Like I should have a full sequence of Red Hulk running through the streets of DC and destroying famous landmarks like the Hulk did, like the Abomination did in Harlem. You know, do that fight, but up it to 11. Give me a bit where he takes the MLK statue and just hits Sam with it out of the sky. Like, are you worried that's going to look goofy? A little, but it's Captain America versus a Hulk. Like, lean into it. Go full send. Give me ultimate carnage here. Give me Hulk ultimate destruction.
Of course. Or if they go to like the Lincoln Memorial, like have like if Sam's like going around, like have like or like trying to go through it, like have the Hulk just go right through, like, or like they come in at one part, have like the Red Hulk just smash through one of the walls, and like they have a little like fight part in the inside the interior of the monument. Have Sam like fly away and somehow knock him into the water, and then just see the Hulk just super jump with like from the reflecting pool, and just have like the water like splash around it with all the smoke too, you know?
Right, because I think the point we're trying to make here is that the final battle felt very reserved for what it was. When you have a city like Washington, D.C., which in my opinion is architecturally the most interesting city in the country. Oh, 100%. And there should have been something more there. There should have been like scenes where Sam was zipping through pillars and then Red Hulk crashes right through them. Show the difference of that. Show how much Sam has to work.
Through. Red Hulk takes one of the pillars and just knocks him like...
Right. It's just like you have this playground of Washington, D.C., and it's like it felt like it was so reserved. I don't know. I think emotionally the ending was in the right place, but man, there should have been way more steps to get there to make this like such a memorable moment, you know?
Oh, definitely. And also, like, both Charlie and I have been to DC like separate times. We still love it though, and it's still a beautiful place. I've been there
twice. I want to go there again.
So do I. And plus, I have my brother used to live out there, and his apartment had a nice view of the Capitol building, and that also the Capitol building also probably would have been like a nice, like a good place to
have them break in and like hang out with Chuck Schumer or something like that. Like I don't know.
destroy like part of the rotunda, because obviously throughout history and stuff, there was a lot of construction on the actual like rotunda part. Like they could have had it where it's like,
give it some stakes, you know.
Yeah, they could, or like they just anything like that, or the Supreme Court building. That would have been cool. Which one fact I learned from my friend. The Supreme Court actually has a basketball court above it, and it's called the highest court of the land, and it's just a traditional basketball court, like a high school, like you see in a high school, like you just see like all these. Anyways, we still love DC. It'll be nice to have like a lot of destruction in the movie.
I don't like the city because it was in a bad movie. Oh no, saying it so. Everything's going wrong.
What's going on? All right, spinning the wheel. Let's see. We got 2 more options. And speaking of Red Hulk, let's talk about Harrison Ford's acting.
Yeah, so Harrison Ford, honestly, he's probably the highlight here. It's really strange because I feel like Harrison Ford like was weirdly into this role for what it was. And they gave him honestly a lot to work with here. Like, I really don't have many negative notes on Harrison Ford here, other than he should have been with Betty in person, maybe a bit more at the end. And there should have been more Red Hulk shenanigans. But that's not anything I think Harrison Ford did necessarily wrong. I think he totally sold everything for what it was very well. I don't know. I feel like
and also with his like casting too, obviously, because it was in like 2022. William Hunt passed away.
William Hurt.
Hurt. Yeah, sorry. I don't know why Hunt came into my mind. It's just like the word. But anyways, the actor passed away, and they were trying to like figure out who would be the next Thunderbolt Ross. And there are also a lot of, I've also seen like concept art of Harrison Ford as it, and then eventually it came to fruition. And also like seeing him in like the behind the scenes and leaked photos, he still looked really good for what he did. And also and in many interviews he's like, I love playing this role better than in Star Wars, because he's had he's had a lot of more room to do like a lot of stuff. And also Anthony Mackie also said it was an honor to work with him on set, because he gave me a lot of like insight on like how to like attack here, attack there, interact here, all that stuff. And just all in all, his character like was really cool. And also the Red Hulk design, I personally enjoyed it. I think they did it.
It was solid, for what it was. And
I'm glad I was gonna say I'm glad that they went in the direction where he had like, if you have a mustache, you don't win the election. Then like how he had like the clean shave instead of just having that little bit of a mustache. Because
presidents have won elections with mustaches before. I mean, Teddy Roosevelt was famous for his. You know,
a lot of people. But I did like the one. And obviously, like they did have scenes where Harrison Ford was like almost like honing into the Red Hulk stuff, especially like with him like smashing the table in Japan. Just like when the leader's like talking to him in his mind, you see his eyes glow red. His skin or eyes are like a reddish orange. His skin like starting to turn a little bit red. His like trying to, like the Hulk part is trying to come out. And the way that they went at it was was pretty cool. How like just like all this happening, and just in the opening part, which real quick, I'm surprised that they didn't open with the Marvel fanfare, because it just went.
Yeah, this is the first movie in a while where they didn't do it.
Yeah, and also there's a scene in like the news headlines about like Ross's involvement with Harlem, or like something like that, like, and showed his anger. Harrison Ford still had that mustache with his general look.
Yeah, he got it eventually.
Exactly, he got rid of it, and all in all, I liked it. I liked his character. I liked Harrison Ford as the Red Hulk.
Which honestly, to me, was the other thing this movie had to get right. Can you sell Harrison Ford being in these for a bit? Because I don't know if they're going to use Red Hulk again. I would like them to. I think that's kind of a waste if you make him a one and done, because anyone who knows Red Hulk knows that he shows up in a lot of things. He has his own comic series right now. Like,
yeah, I think it would be cool if like obviously like if like I could be wrong about this, but in Thunderbolts, which is coming out in May. In May. Yeah. Like they can have like a post-credit scene where the Thunderbolts, or their Dark Avengers, as what they're calling the comics, or right?
It's different. The Dark Avengers are a different thing from the Thunderbolts, but anyway, that's
anyways. With the Thunderbolts, they go to the raft, they break Thunderbolt Rossa, and they have like a conversation with him and stuff. And we'll talk about Thunderbolts when the movie comes out.
But honestly, it's like Harrison Ford, I think, was great. I think for what he was solid. The problems with this movie really aren't him, And to me, that was the most important thing. Is that Mackie worked, Ford worked. Let's see what happens later.
Oh, his whole stuff on set, great, and to go off of that, we'll go into our last section because there was a lot of choreography, especially in all the fights. So
so to end on a high note, one of the big reasons the reshoots happened was to get the fight scenes right, because the original shots, they just weren't kinetic enough, they just weren't moving. I thought they were great, for what they were. Obviously, they're not like Winter Soldier levels of hand-to-hand combat with the Russos. But for one thing, I'm sick of the constant camera cuts in Marvel movies, and I'm happy this movie actually let a couple things linger for what they were. So that was a plus for me. And also it's that I loved how this movie found different ways for Sam to use his wings. He was cutting through cars with them. He was flying and zipping around. He was stabbing people. He was using
vibranium.
Yeah, he was using the vibranium stuff. It felt like this movie had a great eye for the most part for what would make a fun sequence for the action stuff. Outside of, our previous bit where the ending should have been a lot harder than it was. But it felt like with the action, at least, is that I think they made Sam Wilson's bits a lot better than they were in the show. It felt like he was zippier. It felt like he was always a step ahead. There was always some new tactic he had for Captain America stuff. I love the bits with the shield. There was a lot of great little bits here.
Mm-hmm. I think my favorite, I like the first choreography fighting scene at the church in Mexico with Anthony Mackie or Sam Wilson hitting the ground, and he's wait for it, and then it's just the sonic boom hits and he starts going after all the henchmen. That was pretty cool. He was able to manipulate air and just go supersonic, hit the ground, and then just boom right into fighting. And also it was like you said, a lot better. And there was one scene from Falcon and Winter Soldier. It was I forget what episode it was, but it was after John Walker's Captain America. I do it in quotes. He killed an innocent one of the henchmen, and then hit Sam and Bucky are fighting him to take back the shield, and Anthony just completely just breaks just John Walker's left arm just because he had the shield on it, and then they take it back, and which is obviously with his character coming into Thunderbolts. But I did all the fighting scenes were pretty cool, especially in the leader's lair in Echo One. Is it Echo One?
Whatever, it's something like that.
Yeah, Camp Echo, because obviously the leader, it was influencing the lights and stuff to make all the soldiers attack him and Joaquin, and it was pretty cool. And he had the shield, and I liked how they the soldiers were trying to tase him with the shield just because I thought it would work. It just all in all, a lot of the fighting was pretty well done.
Yeah, it felt like it understood what makes Falcon as Captain America fun to watch. And my only thing is that I wish I saw more of it. I hope that when he shows up next in Doomsday, looks like what it's going to be, he's zippier, and that they kind of keep the same direction for him. I don't know. I had a great time. I thought he totally nailed it. And honestly, to me, I kind of wrap things up because that was kind of our last big section, is that this movie is going to be weird in terms of its legacy. Mm-hmm. It had a weird couple villains. The plot felt like it was a regurgitated kind of bit. There's a lot of moments that
Captain America Civil War at all.
It's no Winter Soldier, obviously.
100%.
But I think what this movie does right is the stuff that the MCU will lean on for a while now. I think people will look at Anthony Mackie and go, that's Captain America. I think people will really enjoy Harrison Ford as the Red Hulk, and if he comes back, that's great. I think Joaquin Torres was a plucky sidekick for what he was, and I can't wait to see him get more development later. Mm-hmm. I think the action scenes were zippy for what they were, and I want them to go harder next time. I think this movie is going to be the Iron Man 2 of this kind of phase where, yes, the plot kind of stinks, but the characters are what people are going to remember. And that's how the MCU survives, is even if you make a bad movie or a bad show, because those exist, those are going to keep existing. We might get a couple more stinkers this year, we'll see. But the characters are going to be the thing that sells the universe forward.
Oh,
and I think we're there. I think Mackie is, my opinion, solidified himself as, yes, he's Captain America. I want to see what he does next. I want to see another movie. I want to see them get another shot at this. I want to see what's going to happen when they don't have a billion rewrites and reshoots. I want to see them absolutely nail this out of the park next time. But this is what we have right now. And I think, honestly, for what it was, it's fine. It's a 6.5 or a 6 out of 10, which sucks because it really should be better. But you know what? I think it got the most important thing right. Make people like Anthony Mackie as Captain America, and the rest is going to be secondary. That's it.
Yeah, I guess for me, I like, obviously the movie was good. It's definitely setting up like this newer, like more continuation, because we're still in, are we in phase 5 or phase 6 now?
I believe we are in phase 5 still. I believe Thunderbolts technically wraps it up, and then Fantastic Four starts phase 6. We'll confirm it later on, but yeah, because it's still obviously it's still going to be tying into a lot of more future projects, especially with the leader talking about how there's more worlds to save, especially because incursions and also Hickman, you losers.
Yeah, future pending if Battle World becomes a thing, because I've seen
right. We'll see how they adapt Secret Wars, because there's a few ways they can do that, but
yeah, and just there's obviously a lot of stuff in here that could have been that just didn't need it. A lot of phone calls that didn't really need to happen, especially towards the end. Just some scenes just could have been done a little bit better, more interaction, more fighting, more third act, huge fight. And obviously just a lot of the promotion material was just Harrison Ford's Red Hulk, and how obviously when the first trailer showed up, it showed the Captain America shield with the Red Hulk crushing it, which I think that tied into an original comic design. I thought, I could have sworn it related to something like that, which I could be wrong.
I'll throw it up if it does.
Yeah, and just it was cool. Obviously Harrison Ford did an amazing job. I hope we get to see him in other future projects. And Sam, obviously he's hopefully going to be leading the new Avengers if that ever becomes a thing, and post credit scene. Yeah, in future Marvel movies, and it'll be interesting to see obviously Joaquin Torres as the new Falcon, how he's going to upgrade his armor, if he's going to keep it the way it is, or just
or if they do what they do in the comics and they make him an actual half bird thing.
I can see that
happening. Where this is going.
Yeah, right. Yeah. But all in all, my opinion, at the end of the day, I still think it's a 7.5 out of 10, 7.5, 8 out of 10, in my opinion. Plus, people might have other opinions on it. It's totally theirs. We're just throwing ours out because you listen to us. You love hearing us talk about our thoughts, what could have happened, what they could remove. Quick synopsis.
We're freaks.
Exactly, because we're all very interesting people that like to yap. So
what a selling point. But yeah, that's Captain America: Brave New World. I don't have much else to say. But before we have a fun little end card, what the heck is coming out next week? But guys, we got a banger of an episode coming out next week. We have a fast food tier list where me and the boys got really angry about particular food takes, everything from McDonald's to Long John Silver's. You're gonna hear it all there. I can't wait for you guys.
There was definitely a lot of fuming and stuff.
So much violence. So much bloodshed.
Yeah, talking about experiences at Denny's.
Wonderful Denny's moments. But anyway, that's all I have to say. I've been Charlie Robison. I'll see y'all later.
I've been Shane Sygiel. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you all next week. Take care now.
Thank you for listening to the Double After Hours podcast. If you like what you heard, be sure to subscribe to us wherever you get your podcast. If you want to see a full list of our platforms, be sure to check out our page at rss.com, linked in the description below. We've got social media pages featuring highlights on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok, with links below. The best way to help us grow is by sharing us wherever you can, or by telling a friend, family member, co-worker, or whoever by word of mouth. It goes a long way. Thanks for listening and staying after hours.
Thank you.
Hey, it's Future Aaron. I couldn't think of anything for the ending gag on this one, so instead you get to hear me, which technically means I'm on the episode, which also means my perfect streak is still alive. We'll catch y'all next time.